Hattie Caraway. Hattie Ophelia Wyatt Caraway, born February 1, 1878, died December 21, 1950, was an American politician who became the first woman elected to serve a full term as a United States Senator. Caraway represented Arkansas. She was the first woman to preside over the Senate. She won re-election to a full term in 1932 with the active support of fellow Senator Huey Long of neighboring Louisiana. Hattie Wyatt was born near rural Bakerville in Humphreys County in west-central Tennessee, the daughter of William Carroll Wyatt, a farmer and shopkeeper, and the former Lucy Mildred Birch. At the age of 4, she moved with her family to Husberg in Humphreys County. Despite her family's relative poverty, she had always hoped to pursue higher education, which was made possible through the generosity of a wealthy aunt. After attending a one-room schoolhouse and Ebenezer Church in Husberg, she transferred to Dixon, Tennessee, Normal College, where in 1896 she received her Bachelor of Arts degree. She taught school for a time before in 1902 marrying Thaddeus Caraway, whom she had met in college. They had 3 sons, Paul, Forrest, and Robert. Paul and Forrest became generals in the United States Army. The couple settled in Jonesboro, Arkansas, where he established a legal practice while she cared for the children, tended the household and kitchen garden, and helped to oversee the family's cotton farm. The Caraways established a second home, Riversdale, at Riverdale Park, Maryland. Thaddeus was elected to the United States House of Representatives in 1912, and he served in that office until 1921 when he became a U.S. Senator. Although she took an interest in her husband's political career, Hattie Caraway avoided the capital's social and political life as well as the campaign for women's suffrage. She recalled that after equal suffrage, I just added voting to cooking and sewing and other household duties. Thaddeus Caraway died in office in 1931. Following the precedent of appointing widows to temporarily take their husbands' places, Arkansas Governor Harvey Parnell appointed Hattie Caraway to the vacant seat, and she was sworn into office on December 9. With the Democratic Party of Arkansas's backing, she easily won a special election in January 1932 for the remaining months of the term, becoming the first woman elected to the Senate. In May 1932, Caraway surprised Arkansas politicians by announcing that she would run for a full term in the upcoming election, joining a field already crowded with prominent candidates who had assumed she would step aside. She told reporters, "The time has passed when a woman should be placed in a position and kept there only while someone else is being groomed for the job." When she was invited by Vice President Charles Curtis to preside over the Senate, she took advantage of the situation to announce that she would run for re-election. Populist former Governor and Senator Huey Long of neighboring Louisiana traveled to Arkansas on a 7-day campaign swing on her behalf. She was the first female senator to preside over the body as well as the first to chair a committee, Senate Committee on Enrolled Bills. Lacking any significant political backing, Caraway accepted the offer of help from Long, whose efforts to limit incomes of the wealthy and increase aid to the poor she had supported. Long was also motivated by sympathy for the widow and his ambition to extend his influence into the home state of his party rival, Senator Joseph Robinson, who had been Al Smith's vice presidential candidate in 1928. Bringing his colorful and flamboyant campaign style to Arkansas, Long stumped the state with Caraway for a week just before the Democratic primary. He helped her to amass nearly twice as many votes as her closest opponent. In 1938, Caraway entered a tough fight for re-election. Challenged by Representative John Little McClellan, who argued that a man could more effectively promote the state's interests using the slogan, "Arkansas needs another man in the Senate." With backing from government employees, women's groups, and unions, Caraway won a narrow victory in the primary and took the general election with 89.4% of the vote over the Republican C.D. Atkinson of Fayetteville in Washington County. In doing so, she became not only the first woman to be elected to the Senate, but also the first to be re-elected. In her bid for re-election in 1944, Caraway placed a poor 4th in the Democratic primary and lost to freshman U.S. Representative J. William Fulbright of Arkansas's 3rd Congressional District. He was the young, dynamic former president of the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville who had already gained a national reputation. To claim the seat, Fulbright defeated sitting Governor Homer Martin Adkins and then the Republican Victor Wade of Batesville. The lack of visibility with her constituents may have been the primary reason that Caraway lost the 1944 nomination. Caraway's Senate committee assignments included agriculture and forestry, commerce, and enrolled bills and library, which she chaired. She sustained a special interest in relief for farmers, flood control, and veterans' benefits, all of direct concern to her constituents, and cast her votes for nearly every New Deal measure. In 1938, she joined fellow Southerners in a filibuster against an anti-lynching bill that year. Although she carefully prepared herself for Senate work, Caraway spoke infrequently and rarely made speeches on the floor but built a reputation as an honest and sincere senator. She was sometimes portrayed by patronizing reporters as Silent Hattie or the quiet grandmother who never said anything or did anything. She explained her reticence as unwillingness to take a minute away from the men. The poor dears love it so. During her tenure in the Senate, 3 other women, Long's widow, Rose McConnell Long, Dixie Bibb Graves, and Gladys Pyle, held brief tenures of 2 years or less in the Senate, but none of them overlapped, and so there were never more than 2 women in the body. She supported Roosevelt's foreign policy, arguing for his Lend-Lease bill from her perspective as a mother with 2 sons in the United States Army. While encouraging women to contribute to the war effort, Caraway insisted that caring for the home and family was a woman's primary task. Yet her consciousness of women's disadvantages was evident as early as 1931, when, upon being assigned the same Senate desk that had been briefly occupied by the first widow ever appointed to take her husband's place, she commented privately, "I guess they wanted as few of them contaminated as possible." Moreover, in 1943, Caraway became the first woman legislator to co-sponsor the Equal Rights Amendment. In early 1944, she was an early sponsor of the Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944, popularly known as the G.I. Bill. However, by supporting the bill, she placed herself in opposition to powerful congressmen who condemned the bill for being socialist. On her final day in the Senate, she received a rare standing ovation from her all-male colleagues. Roosevelt then appointed her to the Employees' Compensation Commission, and in 1946, President Harry S. Truman gave her a post on the Employees' Compensation Appeals Board, on which she served until suffering a stroke in January 1950. She died on December 21 of the same year in Falls Church, Virginia, and was buried in Oaklawn Cemetery in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Caraway was a prohibitionist and voted against anti-lynching legislation along with other Southern Democratic senators. She was generally a supporter of the New Deal. Caraway's defiance of the Arkansas establishment and insisting that she was more than a temporary stand-in for her husband enabled her to set a valuable precedent for women in politics. Although she remained at the margins of power, Caraway's diligent and capable attention to Senate responsibilities won the respect of her colleagues, encouraged advocates of wider public roles for women, and demonstrated that political skills were not the exclusive property of men. On February 21, 2001, the United States Postal Service issued a 76-cent Distinguished American Series postage stamp in her honor. Her gravesite at Oaklawn Cemetery in Jonesboro, Arkansas, was listed in 2007 on the National Register of Historic Places. Thanks for watching HerStory channel. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe our channel.